Hello everyone, welcome back to Coasters and Places, here with another video for you, and this one, a little different, but I feel like this would be a fun topic to talk about. I'm going to talk about every Cedar Fair park, and this is before the Six Flags merger, the traditional Cedar Fair parks, in case you are watching this after the merger is completed. So, those parks, just for reference, they are Caro, Canada's Wonderland, King's Dominion, Kings Island, Cedar Point, Dorney Park, Valley Fair of Knott's Berry Farm, California's Great America, Worlds of Fun, and Michigan's Adventure. So I'm going to talk about what I think is going to be the next coaster to be removed at each of these Cedar Fair parks, and why that coaster is going to be next to be removed, and what I think a potential replacement could be, or just basically the reasoning behind these coasters being removed. So, we never want to see a coaster go. Well, sometimes we do if they're awful. But, yeah, let's definitely get into it and talk about which coaster that I definitely could anticipate seeing being removed from each Cedar Fair park. Go ahead and start out actually with Kings Island here. So my pick, in my opinion, of which coaster is going to go next at Kings Island, it's going to be in Vertigo. So this is one of only 2 operating inverted boomerangs in North America. They took out Stinger at Dorney Park. So the trains and parts or whatever from Stinger could be used on Vertigo, of course. But the issue with Vertigo is reliability, and I think the capacity on this one could be a part of it too. But the reliability on this, I think, will eventually lead to Cedar Fair to decide to pull this coaster out of Kings Island. I don't know when it will be, but this is the coaster I think is in most danger. The only thing is it's not a huge plot of land, but I still think it could be used to do something with for sure. Next is Knott's Berry Farm, and I have to choose Montezuma's Revenge. Yes, this one they announced a big renovation project for it, but they took out the loop, and rumors has it that that wasn't supposed to actually happen. And then a train went to a museum, I believe in Texas, and so there's been rumors going around that there was things that happened that were not supposed to happen with this coaster and its renovation. They could have potentially completely jeopardized the coaster. So right now the status is just kind of in a to be determined type of status, so we'll see what happens. I hope this coaster isn't done. But it is a very old Schwarzkopf. It was still pretty popular, very sentimental, and they want to keep it around. But if these rumors are true, then it may very well be the end of Montezuma's Revenge. Next up, I have Anaconda at King's Dominion. That would be the next to go at King's Dominion. And the reason I believe it will be the next to go is because it's a rough coaster. It does not have the most interesting layout either. You have another good looper with Dominator. This is just not one of Arrow's best creations. I don't think many people would be sad to see it go, and I do think eventually this one would be the next to go at King's Dominion. At Worlds of Fun, I think the next coaster to go would be Timberwolf. This is a coaster. It was opened in 1989 by none other than the Den Corporation. They are not known for having particularly smooth wooden coasters. This one has had some work on it, but the layout's just not as good as, say, Renegade. It's still not as smooth as Renegade, and now they've opened Zambezi Zinger, so this coaster honestly would be a great RMC candidate. And I do think that this would definitely be the next coaster that Worlds of Fun would choose to close, and I think they would probably go with RMC treatment for this coaster. So, Cedar Point now, and I have to go with Corkscrew. I feel like there could be a couple other ones that could get removed first, but Corkscrew would be my pick, just because, for one, the ridership on this thing is definitely lower than it used to be. doesn't have as high ridership as a lot of the coasters in this amazing park. For 2, it's rough. It definitely, you get some head banging on this thing. But the one thing I could see preventing it from necessarily being removed is the fact that it looks so aesthetically pleasing over the midway. So if they could like leave the loops though, when they do remove it, which I think would definitely be what choice they would go with there, I think that would be so much better. And it is an old coaster, but I just don't think it's adding really any value at this point in time to Cedar Point's lineup. And this one, in my opinion, Cedar Point, this is going to be the one they're going to remove next. At Dorney Park, I could see the next coaster being removed, being possessed. I believe there's been a couple rumors already that have circulated about this coaster's removal. So with Wicked Twister being removed at Cedar Point, it brings up the question of, is possessed next? So these Intamin impulse coasters, well, a lot of Intamins in general, they're just not super reliable. I mean, it's a great ride and all, but the reliability is where I question how much longer Cedar Fair is going to keep this one around. And they have an awful relationship with Intamin, understandably so. And that is just all reasons why I think out of all the coasters at Dorney Park, Possessed would definitely be the next option to go. California's Great America, I gotta include it on here, but as we know, this park is going to eventually be closing, hopefully later rather than sooner, but it is going to cease to exist. With that being said, still gonna pick a coaster that I think would, without this going on, be the next one to be removed. And I was kind of stuck between Grizzly and Demon. I ended up picking Demon. It is an old Aero coaster, and I just don't believe it sees the ridership that it used to see. It's got a couple rough spots, although it's held up well over age. Honestly, I don't see anything at this park really being in danger of being removed anytime soon, but this would be my pick if there was a coaster to be removed. At Carowinds, I think Curler is the next to go. No doubt in my mind, Curler. The only thing that maybe could change this is because when the Curler does go, it will leave the park with no wooden coaster. So I for real would see maybe a wooden coaster edition coming before Curler gets removed. Curler just doesn't have a great layout. It's just kind of boring. It's not necessarily rough, but it's just kind of there on us. They RMC Curler at Kings Dominion, and I definitely consider them to be the second to go. And this has been thrown around for a while now, and it's definitely honestly a very legendary. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. Alright, moving to Michigan's Adventure, which honestly, to be completely honest, none of these coasters are probably in danger of going anywhere anytime soon, but I have to pick Wolverine Wildcat. They did add some Titan track to this, so that's definitely decreasing its chances of getting removed anytime soon. But this would be the perfect candidate for RMC to come in, work their magic, give Michigan's Adventure, maybe a smaller scale RMC. It wouldn't cost them that much, and it would be a great addition to the park, and it would drive in some visitors for sure. But I think Cedar Fair is content with how this park runs for the most part. But Wolverine Wildcat, it's just before the Titan track at least. I haven't rode it after it, but it's rough. You have Shivering Timbers, which is so much better, and Saxumer. And this one just needs to go. This one would be the most likely to go. Let's talk about Canada's Wonderland and their menagerie of not so good coasters. We have several that are arguably not so good, but I think the next one is going to be Time Warp to get removed. This has not great capacity. Capacity's horrible. It's rough. It's painful. And I think Canada's Wonderland knows people complain about this thing. But personally, I think it'll be a dual removal with Flight Deck. But we definitely got to get rid of Time Warp. It's awful. It's just got to go, and it definitely would be the one that I see would go first out of any of them. Alright, last but not least is Valley Fair. Here, I'd have to go Still Venom, just simply because we've seen that removal of an Impulse Coaster Wicked Twister at Cedar Point, like mentioned about Dorney Park, and Intamin's relationship with Cedar Point is just not great. And it wouldn't surprise me if Still Venom did end up getting taken out next. It was either between this or Corkscrew, but we haven't actually seen one of the Corkscrew coasters get removed yet, but we have seen an Impulse coaster get removed. So this one would be the one I think is most in danger of going next at Valley Fair. With that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like it and subscribe if you aren't already, and let me know in the comments down below what you agree with or what you disagree with about this video. And thanks again.